Okay. Yeah, recording. Are you ready?
Yeah,
I'm
we
not.
are. Ah, come on.
Uh, so, my name is Felipe, and today I'll talk about the two facets of Leonardo da Vinci mind. In one side, his endless creativity and endless talent that nobody can argue with all his contribution to the science and to art, and in the other side, his his overall performance and productivity that he was recognized after after his death, leaving a lot of unfinished works, and also recognized as taking a lot of time to finish some work, finish his works. So let's go through Leonardo da Vinci mind. You probably have already passed through Leonardo da Vinci work. I think maybe in art or in science or in engineering. In art, this is the Last Supper from 1498 that he was responsible for it. And also actually, of course, Mona Lisa that everybody knows, also known as Gioconda. It was from 1503 to dated 1503 or 1505. We don't know exactly. But the fact is that Leonardo da Vinci? Leonardo da Vinci is Leonardo di Piero da Vinci was an Italian painter, thinker, and a student of all things you can imagine. Born in the middle of the 15th century, Da Vinci is considered one of the most talented and creative person in history. So you definitely have already passed through some of his inventions, like the flying machine. He tried to combine the principles of physics with the physiology of a bat to create a flying machine. Also, he tried to make the parachute that actually in after a long time in this century, they actually produced this parachute and it worked. And the six-gun machine that he thought that if he could have a lot of cannons, cannons here, the one cannons could shoot while the other ones could be loading. So that was really creative from his part. And here is a plan of a car, a self-propelled car, and a robot that in the future was always reproduced by scientists from nowadays. So this is Leonardo da Vinci. Talking about his basic life, Leonardo da Vinci grew up in the rural Tuscany, next to a city named Vinci. That's why his name is Leonardo da Vinci. And he had no self-education, no formal education. He had to pursue knowledge all by himself. And that's what gave him the power of observation that he was so famous for. The way Leonardo got used to pursue knowledge, trusting only on his own observations, made him always try to find the truth only based on his ideas, on his observation at the world. That's why he was so fascinated about nature, especially with water and birds. He had a great fascination about birds. That's why he designed the flying machine, and this fascinating for observation in nature, the humans and the world. Made him one of the biggest protagonists of the Renaissance. The Renaissance, because we are talking here about he was born in 1452, so in the 15th century, and the Renaissance is a period of cultural movement that happened in Europe from the 14th century to the 17th century. That was very important because the humankind started looking at the human beings as the center of the world again, because on all Middle Age we were only focusing on God, on religion, and now the artists, the scientists, and actually the philosophers of this time were trying to look at the human being and set him in the center of everything. So from the 14th century to the 17th century, thinkers all over Europe, and that includes Leonardo da Vinci, that includes René Descartes, that includes a lot of scientists, Isaac Newton, start up a movement of questioning all the knowledge, all the truth which they had believed, they had been all the truth that they have accepted so far. So they bring up back all the knowledge from the classical, from Greek civilization, from Rome, and using scientific theories and the power of observation to verify if the ideas were really true. And that's why Leonardo da Vinci was a big protagonist of this movement, because he was a great observer. He was used to because he didn't have formal education, so he was born with this. And besides the power of observation, Leonardo da Vinci was blessed also with an endless curiosity. He had curiosity to everything, to nature, to painting, to sculpting, to engineering, anatomy, war machines, anatomy again, brain, and writing, and actually a lot of more things that astronomy. So it was a time of developing knowledge. It was a time of developing scientific knowledge. So he was a real protagonist for sure. And besides that, he also had endless talents with art, especially his talents with art. Just to have an idea of the measure of his talents, while he was working in a studio in Florence, he supervisor quick of painting forever because he painted an angel like he never had seen before. So he was a really talented person. So the endless curiosity and the high level of meaning in his work, and like the few distractions that he used to have in that decade, in that time, he had a really high learning potential, what I'm calling learning potential. He wrote 6,000 of pages about science, about anatomy, about engineering that nobody had ever seen. But what is the cause of this high learning potential? He developed a lot of things. He developed a lot of plans, but he didn't produce much. So looking at the overall performance, we cannot see he took, for example, 15 years to complete Mona Lisa, because he was engaged in so many projects that he couldn't focus in one thing at a time. So he took 25 years to paint the region on the rocks. And the notebooks were never organized, edited, published. So what about his productivity? Can you imagine Leonardo da Vinci working nowadays world that we are required for a lot of deadlines and grades and criteria that we need to achieve? So that was a time with a not good performance. So some call him a procrastinator because actually he has a quote that says that art is never finished, only abandoned. So just to have an idea about his behavior. And this is a little graph about how do we do things. Actually, we want to try to finish, and in the beginning is really hard, but then it becomes easily. It becomes more, we have less trouble finishing. And here is now some nowadays data take from the Huffington Post about the procrastination in academic world today. You can see that in all students in high school, in college students, they all get distracted for they got all, the procrastination is the main thing in their life. So you can see here that they recognize them as a procrastinator here. 85% recognize they are. In high school students, 86%, and in college students, 88%. So it's a really concern of nowadays. And these are the things that they like got distracted to, like watching TV, maybe using social media, that Leonardo da Vinci didn't have this trouble. But now, even as he didn't have this distraction, he had a lot of interest. He had a lot of variety of interests, that a lot of work that he could not focus in only one thing. So now I brought the question about if the productivity is worth more than creativity or the other way around. In the time that he was living, creativity was bubbling up, and I think that he only could have produced all the amazing things he has that inspired so many scientists in the future, because he was free to produce, to create with no concerns. If he had been required for deadlines and to reach a certain level of finished art, he wouldn't have done with all his meaning, with all his purpose and all his capacity. And that's why I think the creativity wins this battle, and now and I think that's why Leonardo da Vinci is one of the most creative and was really important for the humankind. Thank you very much, and I hope you have learned something about Leonardo da Vinci today. Thank you. Do you have any questions? I mean.